So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. So, welcome to the Harmony Circle, where the topic is just life, right? Just sharing, bringing, and sharing anything that we resonate with or we have questions on. And I also stumbled upon something about, the subconscious, and that's something that's been coming up in our sessions in the last week, and it always happens like there's something that keeps standing out. So I thought if there's time, I don't know how much sharing this is, we can also read about that. It's always good to know. So before we begin, just invoking Divine's grace and presence as we begin the session. Genuinely and sincerely and honestly praying for suppleness, flexibility, openness to, absorb whatever I can from the readings, the discussions, so that I can put it in my life. I think my voice is echoing from Sarda ji's side. I'll just mute her. Sorry. Yeah. So it was coming back to me. Sorry. Yeah. So we can begin. Yeah. So anything, any sharing from anyone right now as we start? Okay. So So there are a couple of quotes. I was just going through, some things that I had saved in my beauty folder. And so maybe we can start with that and just remembering that this is a sharing circle. So if there's anything, please unmute, share anytime. Otherwise, it just defies its own purpose. So, and I'm sure there would be sharings, but at times we don't want to be the first ones to share. So we'll start with this. So it's a beautiful quote from Sri Aurobindo, if anybody would want to read it for us.
Yeah, we have faith and we believe in the great rule of life in the Gita. Remember me and fight. We believe in the mighty word of assurance to the Bhakta, a devotee. If thou repossessed thy heart and mind in me by my grace, thou shalt pass safe through all difficulties and dangers. Sri Aurobindo.
Yes, thank you, Jagan. This kind of, I find this beautiful because we all struggle, right? We all have our fights, internal, external, physical, mental, emotional, fight with our subconscious patterns and habits and things that we want to let go of, and yet we seem to be clutching. Things we think we are over and above, and yet they keep resurfacing. And it gets exhausting at times, especially, I don't know, being us, because a lot of times we are not doing things operating from the right center. We think the battle is mine and I fight it like that. So because I keep becoming me, I keep becoming the doer, I keep becoming the fighter, which I truly am not. So this line, right? Remember me and fight. So just this, that I'm not alone. And no matter how many times I stumble, if I remember him and fight, there is some beauty, there is some, say if a child is fighting alone, but if the child knows, if the child is fighting alone versus if a child knows that, My father is standing beside me. My mother is just, right here. Something in us shifts. So, for whatever battle I must be going through, facing right now, not one battle, but thousands inside me and out, if I can remember him, remember her, and fight. So, this is what Sri Aurobindo is stressing on. We believe in the mighty word of assurance to the bhakta, a devotee. If thou repost thy heart and mind in me by my grace, thou shalt pass safe. That if I, invite, if I possess in my heart and mind the divine, and that too would be His grace if I'm able to do that. So thou shalt pass safe through all difficulties and dangers. Sri Aurobindo. So it's interesting that Ritu again has joined at this time because in the psychic education session, she was talking about how she gets tired, right? She feels tired at times of looking at, the old patterns, the trash, and she gets tired and she doesn't want to look at it anymore. At times, she goes there. So, from that aspect, again, remember me and fight. Yeah. Any reflections or, I don't know, comments on this? Okay. So now that the first quote is there, anything anybody has, I don't know, wanting to share?
Yeah, Tarun, just repeat. I mean, just show that quote again.
Yeah.
We have faith and we believe in the great rule of life in the Gita. Remember me and fight. We believe in the mighty word of assurance to the Bhakta. If thou repossess thy heart and mind in me, so in this, me is Krishna or Sri Aurobindo, or
Uh,
it's the same.
it's the same thing. Yeah, like the divine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, something higher than me. So when I have that certitude that the universe, the cosmos, the grace, the divine, Sri Aurobindo, Krishna,
Hmm.
yeah, or
Because
anybody else I believe in, just knowing that that strength is there, that energy is there. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Mhm. Yeah, because Sri Aurobindo is also a form of Krishna only.
Yeah, from that aspect, we can say we are all Krishna, right? Like the same divine energy is in us. So it's just, say for if a child reads this, for him it would be his parents, right? Because his faith is in his parents more than anybody else. So whoever I feel is the highest in me, right? Or my ideal or anybody I would reach out for strength, I could do that, start with them, right? And then I'll be guided further. Yeah. So basically, this is not about the mind, right? Like I have to mentally decide who, it's more of a heart, right? That where do I find that solace or that strength? Yeah.
Mm.
In this very nice, this when I was reading the quote, it just reminded me of there's a very nice episode in Upanishad Ganga. I think you have shared it as well, some one episode, Taru. But there's a very beautiful episode where it uh, it explains the story of Surdas, one of the am I audible?
Yeah.
Surdas, who is a Krishna Bhakt Vaishnav, and he cannot see, and he's considered to be one of the greatest poets um, of um, of India, writing in the Mughal period, Akbar times, when Akbar was the king. And So he's, in that episode, there's a particular thing where he's explaining about his journey, that how did he got onto this journey of spiritual awakening, and he explains that his guru Vallabhacharya, Sri Vallabhacharya, he dikshit, he gave diksha to him, and he said that one day when he came. So what touched me was that when Vallabhacharya came to him because he didn't go to Vallabhacharya actually, Surdas, because Surdas was always blind and the society reprimanded him, his own parents, and that episode is about the Sola Sanskara of Hindu tradition, the 16 sanskara that we have to do. And he said, I think seventh or eighth sanskara, where you go into Gurukul and you get educated, right? He was explaining about that, and then the child to whom he's explaining asked that, okay, and how was that about you, the sanskara? And he says, he started, he got emotional. He said, I was blind, so my parents never sent me for any education, so that sanskara was not done in that way, but I got that sanskara through my guru Vallabhacharya, who educated me. And he said, oh, did you go to him? He said, no, by the grace of Krishna, he came to me because Surdas was very good in singing, and he started singing. And everybody really applauded his voice and his bhajans that he used to sing. So Vallabhacharya came to him, said that I've heard that you sing really good Krishna bhajans and I want to listen. And he started singing, and he was not, Vallabhacharya was not happy. Although he sang the bhajans in different connotation, I don't know, the different ways of saying the pad. And after third or fourth time, he just stood up and he just looked at him and he said, um, why are you singing Deen Bhav se kyun ga rahe ho? So in Hindi he says that, and it's like, from that victim perspective, that he was singing from that, oh my God, I'm like a victim, you have made me blind and I'm here lying requesting for your grace, looking up to you. So the whole idea behind that connection with the divine was that I am so limited, that from victim perspective that we can say in English. And he said, the one who has the divine in the heart, the one who embodies that kind of strength that divine has, how can he be a victim or incompetent? And that thing touched me because I've seen, and when I was reading, where in our fights, even when we call, because they're saying that call me or invoke grace, I've seen with me, I always invoke with this limitedness in me. I say, oh my God, look, I'm so limited, mother, can you please help me? And I still do it. But after seeing that episode, I just realized that this is maybe, sometimes it doesn't work because maybe our approach, even calling the divine, first of all, of course, the journey, we have to first realize to call. But even in our calling, we should not call from a deen bhav or, a limited perspective. But Vallabhacharya tells him, and he says, then what should I do? I am a deen. Like, I'm not saying something wrong. Look how I was treated, right? And he was so right that even to but no friends, no family, everybody left him just because he was blind. I just see Krishna as my family, and I just say that. He said, you have to say the glory of the divine. You have the divine in the heart. So the glory, and of course, he says that, but I don't know the glory of divine. He said, then I will, you come with me and I will narrate the Krishna Katha to you and Bhagavad, and then this is the story. But in that quote, when you were reading, I always thought that what if we just make a relationship with the divine? For me, for example, it could be mother or Krishna, of course, as well. It could be that aspiration that I want to be like you, that kind of, that I want to be like you, because that's what, rather than saying I'm so limited, oh look, I'm still stuck in this, or kind of that victimness that we bring even in that connection. So I just thought of sharing that really touched me. Yeah.
Yes, Nandini, thank you. Yeah, it's like it appears to be like a ladder, right? It appears at first I have no connection. I feel totally alone. And then I start having some connection. And then, more and more and more and more until, how I don't know, there was this quote that I went to the mountains and together the mountain and I were looking at the birds till the birds were no more. And then I left and, it was just the mountain, as in then I also merged. Yeah. Okay. So feel free to share at any time. Yeah. So, what you were sharing, Nandini, I think this quote would also go well with that. I was just going through some old ones I had saved. So it says that it is not our job to remain whole. We came to lose our leaves like the trees and be born again, drawing up from the great roots. So just the first sentence especially stuck me, I think the first time I had read it, because there's something in me which always wants to preserve, right? Preserve what I think I am. And if I don't remain that, I don't know who I will be. And that's what we keep is being hammered in us, right? And especially, I mean, in all the yogas and in integral yoga, that let go, like, so if I want to be somewhere, I'll have to stop being here. But I want to be, you know, that being here, that never happens. So this wanting to remain who I am or what I am is one of the obstacles, a very big one that I face. At any time, please feel free to unmute. You're already muted. So this is a very small quote from Sri Aurobindo, not small, short. So he says that in order to possess the truth, the plays of lower nature must be stopped. So today I had shared in the beginning that we would be reading about subconscient if we find the time, and I think this too again points in the same direction, right? From a lot of my lower nature comes from the subconscient. So I cannot possess the truth if if my life is being spent and in the lower, in the petty, in my everyday, in my past, in my future, how will I have the time, the energy, the resources, the will to go for something else? So we had actually read something in the study circle this time, which was really beautiful, which was really revelatory. I had shared this, I'd shared that on the groups. So that is what again made me think about the subconscious, and we could be reading that if there are no more sharings. Like I hope there are, but if somebody would want to just read this so that we can, I'll just make it bigger.
And in order to possess the truth, the plays of the lower nature must be stopped. Sure, Bindu.
Yeah, sorry, I had changed the screen thinking that it has changed for all of us, but here it is. Nandini, if you could read this. So this is what we had read in the study circle, and after this we'll go to incarnate word. Yeah.
What does that relaxation mean for most men? It means always coming down to a lower level. They do not know that for true relaxation, one must rise 1 degree higher, one must rise above oneself. If one goes down, it adds to one's fatigue and brings a stupefaction. Besides, each time one comes down, one increases the load of subconscious. This huge subconscious load which one must clean and clean if one wants to mount, and which is like fetters on the feet. It is not by sinking below oneself that one must remove fatigue. One must climb the ladder, and there one has true rest because one has the inner peace, the light, the universal energy. And little by little, one puts oneself in touch with the truth, which is the very reason for one's existence. Beautiful.
We all want to relax, of course, right? Again and again and again, because we do get tired very easily, rather. And yet we don't know how to relax. So again, we had discussed this, and I apologize for those who were in the session, but these are always good to hear again. So for us, mostly it means coming down to a lower level. But what mother was saying that one must rise 1 degree higher above ourselves to relax. Because if one goes down, it just adds to the fatigue, right? Usually, what we were discussing was that these days, so much of us, so many of us are just spending time behind screens. Like that's our jobs, virtual, everything. And then relaxation is also Netflix, YouTube, Prime videos, and stuff. So it's just sitting in front of one screen and then the other, and then I feel I have relaxed. But I just end up feeling more tired, really, distracted and tired. And then dullness comes, and then I just maybe sleep. So, but this was really interesting that it feels that, okay, maybe it's just innocent, right? I'm just watching something, or I'm just, whatever it is that helps me. But mother says that each time one comes down, one increases the load of the subconscious, this huge subconscious load which must clean and clean. One must clean and clean if one wants to mount, and which is like fetters on the feet. That every time I indulge in something, again, which is not helpful for me, which is just taking me towards dullness, it's not just an innocent time pass. It actually increases my subconscious load. Some news I hear, some which I know maybe doesn't work well with me, these videos I keep watching, these conversations I keep engaging, these outings could be, just because I'm used to. A lot of what I get exposed to just keeps getting added to me rather than making me lighter. So it is not by sinking below oneself that one removes fatigue. One must climb the ladder, and there one has true rest because one has the inner peace, the light, the universal energy. Yeah. So, again, pausing for any reflections, and after this, maybe we can read something about the subconscious, but yeah. Yeah, Juan, we are just wanting to read about subconscious today, so we'll just be, uh, yeah, going there. Okay, nothing.
Yes, 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 interesting.
Yeah, thank you.
Ma'am, one thing very interesting I find is like, um, not just the work or sitting in front of the screens or, engaging in um, media form, media, Netflix and everything. Also engaging in conversations that don't really I'm interested in. And let's say, you know, mm, so some of my friends, we talk about politics, about different politicians in India. And I have no idea what's going on. So I don't want to engage. But at one point of time, at one point of time, say, ha ha. I just say ha ha. And that's it. I am part of the conversation and I go so deep into it. And then I see myself sometimes, sometimes by grace, I see myself, "Tu kar kya raha hai?" And then I see that, okay, what are you doing here? Okay, come back, come back, come back, come back to life, come back to life. And the moment I try to do that, by remaining silent, not responding back to them, yet somehow I am part of the conversation. So I would like to see, or I would like to explore how I can even come out of that. Because when I am in that, I'll have to be honest that I'm not able to come out of it, even when I'm quiet. So yeah.
Yes, thank you, Jagan. So, Jagan, this is what you discuss, like outer, right? Like a conversation or something which you would not rather indulge in because it doesn't take you anywhere. You have no idea, no interest, no knowledge, and yet you find yourself there. And yet, we all are all the time kind of, taking somersaults in our own mental thought patterns, right? The same repeated loopy thoughts, like, okay, this happened in the past, or you, I should have done this, or this happened in the future. I mean, if we just spend 2 minutes with our eyes closed and look at what I'm thinking, the dullness of my repetitions, it's shocking. It's frustrating that, my God, how many times more? How many times more will I think about, oh, this happened to me, or that person did that, or this person did that? I am actually, there's this, in one of the sessions, there is somebody who comes, Captain Badal, who spoke about this book called The Complaint Free World. And I know I've spoken about that a little bit before. And I've been practicing that, trying to practice this more consciously, that looking at myself when I'm complaining, stopping, like kind of resolving that, okay, let me spend 1 week, 1 month, 2 months without complaining, for example. And earlier on, it was like just outside, right? Like I would not verbally say, verbally say, which obviously it's not that I could totally refrain, but I could stop at some places, at others I couldn't. And yet I realized, to my very shock, that the moment I'm getting up, the mental chatter starts. Like the moment. And at times it starts even with complaining. That, oh, in the sense, like, it's like as soon as I wake up, as if, there is this role that I have to play, and the character gets in the role. And it's exhausting. Like if you become aware of it, it's exhausting. The other day I was listening to something from Osho. I mean, and something came up, and a person, his follower, there was this lady who asked him that, since I have joined you, somehow the problems in my life seem to be increasing. Is that your doing, master? She asked him, and he started laughing. He said, yes, it's my doing, because what I have done is I have made you aware of the problems in your life. So if you were sitting in a dark room, you were very happy that, okay, it's a clean, beautiful, sweet room, but it's dark. But now, because of this awareness, this alertness, there is a light. And you see spider webs, and you see, whatever, roaches and everything. And you're like, oh my God, have you put them there? So, no, I have not put anything there, but I have made you aware of the things that are around you, so that you can clean, you can become aware of them. So, yeah, it's a very beautiful thing. Maybe we can even take it as a topic next week about complaining, or the wanting to not
This
complain.
thing
Yes.
that was shared by Captain. It's for 25 days, na?
I don't know the time, but yeah, I mean,
Acha.
whatever we want to resolve. There's a book called The Complaint Free World that he said he has
Okay.
read, and I didn't read the book, but I think the gist I was trying. That, yeah, it was suggested by a friend that we can do it together, and it's been really revelatory.
The complaint-free world.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. Thank you.
yeah.
Same author has also written complaint-free relationships, which I have read. It's also quite a revelatory
Okay,
book
thank
as
you.
well.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yes,
what you shared, like when you wake up in the morning and you see, now you observe that you get into a role and then the thoughts start coming. So does this happen with, I mean, it happens with me a lot. I've been observing it from the past 2 months and I've been feeling very, I mean, it feels कि मतलब सुबह उठते ही ये ख्याल, I mean, at least sometime I could have waited. Sometime the mind should have stopped. I mean, there should be a time when the mind should allow such thoughts. At least in the morning, such thoughts shouldn't come. So even before I keep my foot on the floor when I wake up, again some thought comes and it feels very odd that matlab, how come I'm not even fully awake and the thought is coming. So does this happen with most of the people, or somehow I feel that maybe my mind is a bit too complicated? Matlab, maybe with people who have simpler thoughts probably do not get such thoughts in the morning only. They must be getting nice, positive, beautiful thoughts. And with people who are a little complicated,
So
maybe it
who is
happens.
not complicated, you
Nahi,
know?
with some people, when you meet them, it feels like, okay, they are at ease,
Yeah, and
calm.
that is like a perception that we have, right? Because when I am meeting others, I could be very appearing to be at peace and in calm, right? But this mechanical chatter that is inherent to all of us till we stop giving it importance or we purify.
Hmm.
Yeah, but the others again don't matter, है ना? अगर मुझे मेरे में दिख रहा है, if I can see this in me, that's enough for me to say, कि, okay, what do I do with it? Because it gets frustrating. It gets like, you know how it's like you start getting disgusted with yourself. कि, come on, like exactly what you were sharing. कि I haven't even fully woken up yet. What's wrong? Why do I do this to myself? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So now, I've started practicing that the moment I wake up, I try to take Krishna's name or some chant. So that helps. Now, automatically, the first thought which comes is that. So it's a little encouraging.
Yeah, that's beautiful, right? How you are replacing, consciously replacing right now with effort, maybe, and then that will become naturally the course that the mind would take. Okay, you wake up and it goes there. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
I think I resonate with what Ritu said because I myself tried this no complaint for some time. I have to say I miserably failed it. So the first time that I decided that I will do it, the very next moment when I stepped out of the car, I said, "Oh my God, it's so cold. The weather is so cold." So, and then I remembered, oh my God, even this is a complaint. Um, and later I noticed my pattern. Whenever the complaints came up, um, it was always about my close relationships. And maybe I should, that's why I read what Nandini suggested, a relationship-free complaint book or something she had mentioned. Uh, all the people that matter to me, I have so many complaints. Like it's just natural. It's just those small stuff that keeps coming throughout the day. And I realize my expectations are so high from them. And and it seems legit because I think I do so much for them. And this kind of narrative that we spin in our heads, I think it affects your relationship. It affects your satisfaction levels. It affects your happiness. So I kind of try to understand how do I deal with this, and it was a bit tough, but at least I recognized a pattern. I try to stop myself. But I think when it is just a general complaint, it was much easier to um, get rid of. Like I did what Ritu had said. Like even when I would like start my day with a shower, and then I'm like just thinking about certain like the negative aspects of life may not be necessarily complaints, and then I just would replace that with a chant, a Gayatri mantra, or I used to do this while driving. Like, sometimes you just come up with unnecessary chatter in your mind, and I would do my Hanuman shloka and all of that. And I think that kind of fills up that vacuum. And we are so used to filling up this vacuum with unnecessary mental chatter. So that kind of got handled. But this relationship complaint, it's so unnecessary because it used to be very small stuff. I still don't know how to deal with it. But if Nandini, you've read the book, it would be interesting if you could just share some light on it.
I mean, the book is great because it gives examples, personal examples of people who have done it. I think one of the things that really stayed with me, I'm not exactly, but one thing that I really took was that you complain when you don't really understand other people. This idea of really understanding, and he gave, real examples because Bill Vaughan, I think the author name, he works with a lot of therapy and all of that. And he says usually you complain about things when you don't understand. And I think that was in the section of love relationships because the book is divided, and he acknowledged that that's where the most complaints come from, those relationships. um, and he says that love tends to take a back seat, or there's a lot of complaint that comes in the relationships when you don't really understand each other. And then he gave an example of a child and a mother, that rare a mother will complain, will of course say that I'm tired, or it's really overwhelming, but that's not a complaint, but it's objective reality that there's a lot, it's so much to be done, and she's tired, she's exhausted. But never ever will she ever complain about a child who is showing tantrum or something. Rarely this, because there's a lot of deep understanding that's there. And if there is a relationship where you feel that there's a lot of complaining going on from your side or from the other person's side, there was also this relationship between a mother and a daughter where, the daughter was really complaining about the mother. And then they did some session together. And then towards the end, the daughter acknowledged that I actually have stopped understanding my mother after she had that kind of an illness. She got Alzheimer's, something like that. And the whole thing that he said, that to really stop complaining, you have to understand the perspective of the other person, that why is like that, instead of saying, oh, he does like that or she does like that, but why is it? There is a reason. So, and that will really change, that will bring out compassion rather than complain. So I think that really stayed with me. But yeah, I can share the name of the book, and it's worth a read and a very interesting read.
Yes, thank you. Something that I have been seeing is that although in the big picture, I could be saying that, I generally have a good will. I like to allow others to be how they would want to be. I would allow myself to be how I want to be. When I find myself sitting with some complaints of this happened, that happened, I have been realizing that there is some goodwill that I am lacking also. So again, these small, small things which we hide from ourselves, like they're not in clear sight, and because I would want myself to be someone who has goodwill, I would not accept that, oh, I lack it, or, I could use more of it. So when I see this, the biggest thing for me with these small, small experiments is that I see more trash in the room that can be let go of, because, say, you said you lack understanding, right? Like that's what the book you said spoke about, relationships, that we react the way we do because there's no understanding. And yet, when I'm complaining, who is that helping? How is that helping, right? Like one thing is, okay, I don't understand. And yet, because I don't understand for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, I'm just ranting about something which just has been happening to me. So why am I here? Kind of a thing. So just, it's the whole loopy thing that if I start looking at it, it does show that there's something in me which sticks, which wants to be the victim, or this happened to me, kind of, that's like, sometimes I wonder, what if we all were to wear maybe sachets or crowns with these things that we title ourselves with, right? Like one relationship, like, okay, say somebody's father, what thing comes to me? There's just, these thoughts, they are so consistent and they are so repetitive in nature, that would I want that sachet on me which just keeps repeating this. It's very interesting. And that's where the subconscious comes in, because I'm not doing it consciously. That's the worst part. Because the moment I start being conscious to it, something shifts slowly. Yeah.
For me, I think, I think complaining really happens with me when I am very idle, when I don't have anything to do in my life. Really, I feel. Whenever I complain too much that day, I say, okay, I'm very whaley. I have nothing to do. I have, there's no aspiration. And I'm very available to let all these forces come towards me, and I'm just complaining. I think that quotes, which I think has become kind of a mantra till the day I've read it from the mother, that we need to have a higher aim in life, and the quality of our aim will depend on our life, or this aspiration. And Buddhism, they call it violation. I think it's called like that or something. Everywhere, it's so much focus is given on it, because I think we all need to have an aim, or maybe small aims, which is bigger than ourselves. And service, of course, we can do so much. I sometimes feel there's so much that I could do with my life. Of course, I don't say, but in my mind, I tell myself that there's so much that can be done, because when I've seen people who are engaged in this, mission they have in their life, I think that I've not heard it fully, but I read it in parts, and I want to hear the discussion between Jetsunma and the other activists
Sister
who
Lucy,
helped with
yeah.
homelessness.
Yeah, Sister Lucy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I read just beginning, I was reading. It was very revelatory how her consciousness shifted when she saw that burnt woman with the child burnt, and she decided that she cannot do it. And this kind of that I want to do this, and kind of having that aspiration really shifts. Till the time that won't come, it won't go. For me, I've seen these thoughts, complaining. We can do some temporary fixtures here and there. We can meditate, or we can do like that. It won't really go, because we're still, the focus is always on this small me, na, who always wants this thing. So, like, any day when I feel I'm complaining, of course, I do a lot of complaining. I just tell myself that you're very insincere, you're very veli. And if you're okay with it, then live this life. But if you want to change it, then think about something bigger. There's so much that we can do with our lives. So many people need help and all. So I think for me, all these things can only go if we really have that kind of volition, think big. This is sessions sometimes I attend by Arul. She, I know some of you are so associated with it. I know it does some healing work and cellular consciousness. Marx had worked in, and I remember speaking to him once, and he said, "But it's so I was so amazed at how that aim of taking up that work that mother did, that cellular consciousness, has become so concretized in him that he doesn't even waste a minute of his day whiling away things. He will know that, okay, I have to connect. I have to tell myself to be open. I have to do it for not only for me, for everybody. And he actually hosts all his sessions free of cost, most of it. It's really good how he does things, and I really get inspired. And I feel, look at that, like till the time I don't have that kind of aspiration in my life, be sure that this won't go. This is my like understanding, but open to reflections.
Yeah, again feels like a ladder to me, how we all begin somewhere and probably that's where it ends. Yeah.
Can I please share one of my experience?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. So today I'm 27, but I would want to talk about when I was 20 years old. I was very less receptive to the things which I am today. So I do have a very big circle of friends. We are like 15 people. So coming to one conclusion is a very big problem for all of us. However, today I was like, okay, take the decision. I'm fine with it. I don't really care. So I have reached to the point. Before, I would say like 7 years back, if someone would ask me like, do you want to go and eat Thai food? I was like, no, I don't want to. Today, if they're like, okay, like, do you want to eat Thai food? I was like, yeah, for sure. Because I want to see you guys. I don't want to put that much effort into like the food part. So there are much greater part which enjoys and which actually put me into a very positive aspect. Like, even if I don't like the food, I'll be happy that I met my friends. So I don't know what happened in between these years that I started accepting new challenges, or the things which I don't like, I'm liking it, just with the part that I will be having a better company with me. So I don't know what happened in between, but yeah, I don't complain about that anymore. So yeah, so that's the good part, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. So the priorities seem to have shifted, and that's beautiful, right? We realize what's important, and then we can choose. And yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Yeah, about this complaining thing, I often find myself um, that please correct me, but sometimes I find myself, not sometimes, all the time, that I have a very fixed way of looking at things. You know, I want this to happen in this way, and if it happens in some other way, I am not ready to accept. So the fundamental thing, the fundamental part that I really am trying to work on is acceptance. However, it is good or bad, acceptance, because that is, to me, that is my answer to no complaining. And the reason I'm saying this is because 5 years ago I was talking with my father on the phone. I said, Papa, I know I don't want to get married. And he's like, I understand, go live your life. Bola, I said, how could you say that? You're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to say, nahi, aise nahi karna. So I said, and that was done. And fast forward now, he tells me, when will you get married? And I say, I don't want to get married. How could you say that? So here he is not the problem. Yet I am the problem. When things don't go well, I say, oh, things don't go well. How sad of me. When things do go well, I say, oh, am I really deserving of this? मतलब there is always this guy saying कि कुछ तो बोलना ही है, मतलब he has to say something against it. So for me, I've been practicing this for a while now, but again, I only succeed 1 out of 20 times for the time being. But what I'm trying to say is that, okay, today if I'm having something good, okay, I'll say, okay, yeah, this is good. Thank you, God. This is good. Tomorrow, and I'm having upma. I'll say, okay, thank you, God. This is also good. So, but again, yeah, this is just a very simple example. But and also, what Nandini shared, I really resonate with, because I always have seen people, again, I was talking with a friend about Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Acharya Prashant, and all these people, and they have a they have a goal, they have something higher than them, and for them, I don't think they have to put an effort to not complain. I don't think that's for my understanding, that I don't think they have to put an effort to be disciplined, because once the goal is there, all these aspects come together. Because waking up at 4 a.m. or waking up at 4 a.m. and working for 20 hours a day doesn't feel tiring anymore when the goal really is visible. And um, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Jagan, thank you. I really resonate with what you said, that the problem is me. The problem is me. And when I'm complaining, that's what I actually wanted to say, and you said it much better. That when I'm complaining, understanding or no understanding, the problem is me, and I am creating more problems by doing what I'm doing, that I've been doing. So, yeah, very simply and straightforwardly put. And about the effort part, how Ritu was also discussing about, would others be doing that? Or say if you're talking about Acharya Prashant, or it would be easier for them or not that much effort. I think that's somewhere I don't really need to go, right? Because right now, this is where I am. We don't know how much effort anybody needs to put. We just go and, the things just gets dispersed there. Or I feel that, he could do it because for him there is less effort, but for me there is too much effort. So I don't do what I can do. Or, I might still do it, but I'm just saying that I don't know if there is anything good that comes out of going in somebody else's situation, mind, or anything. It just, if I can stay here and do whatever little I can, things would change, right? There, it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, very true, because it's not really fruitful. But not just bigger goals, like the really, smaller goals, like, I'll be more honest, more sincere. I'll not lie. I'll lie, I'll stop lying or doing all these things. Um, the effort part doesn't feel that hard when this goal is there. Like, when I say that, okay, from tomorrow I will stop lying. So what happens is, I face a situation where I know that if I say the truth, I'll be confronted, or I'll lose an opportunity or something. But that doesn't pain as much, because I have just fixed in my mind, ki, okay, I'll not lie, come what may. So that process becomes easy. At least, I can only talk about myself because I know about my experiences. But the process becomes easy because I have something fixed in my mind. Like, yeah, I'll stop. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else about their relationship with complaints or maybe the lack of it? That no, I don't.
Well, I really like what all you shared. And I was reminding myself of something that Byron Katie used to say. She has very nice books to read about, and she says something like, we have three kind of business in life: my own business, the other one's business, and God's business. And we are suffering when we are not minding our own business. So it means also that, God's business is everything that comes in our lives, and what the other person is doing, it's their business. It's not ours. Like, what we can do is just decide what we want to do with that situation, with what the other people brings. But we are not the boss. We are not anyone to say what the other person should be doing. So I really, yeah, like, with that in mind, I realized how much energy I would spend in opinions about what the other person is doing, if he's right, he's wrong, what taking personally what the other one is doing. And it's really much more compassionate to understand that what I feel is right. It's just something that I have for my own to orientate myself in my life. I don't have to impose that to anyone. And I remember also learning from a Sufi teacher in Europe. He used to give some workshops, and one of these, the first one was about the complaint, and the exercise to do was to observe every day, every hour, for 2 weeks, just observe how much we complain, not only in words but in thinking. And it was, yeah, a little overwhelming, like how much energy we are spending in thinking, just from something gross to something very subtle about, I am not happy with this situation, and it's totally useless, but it requires a lot of attention to realize this.
Yes, thank you, Juan. I like that, the thing that you shared by Katie. Yeah.
Mm. And I remember one more story. When I was a teenager, my father sometimes used to give me his car, and I went with my friends or something like that. So one night I was driving my father's car. I was like 18, and I had a little accident, because I was new to this, and then we stopped the car, and the other person was very angry. He saw I was very young, and he was really angry, and he wanted to talk to my father. So I had my father's cell phone, so I gave it to him, and he started yelling, and don't you see that your son doesn't know how to drive? Why do you give him the car? And my father said, if I don't lend him the car, how is he supposed to learn? And it was like, I remember many times this story. It's like, okay, this is what the kind of love that a father can give. Mothers used to be protective, and it's important, and fathers can be this kind of love energy that is like, you do what you have to do and have an accident and make mistakes, and it's okay. You will go on and you will learn. And I remember like this, like, also maybe because personally I am seeing that many times I lose my patience with someone, or I internally complain about what someone else is doing, and many times I see that whatever mistake the other person is doing, probably I did it. If I am not doing it in my life, maybe it's because I learned some time ago and I did it before. So that gives me, when I do that, I really find some more patience and compassion. Like, I am there is no mistake the other person can do that I didn't do in some way at some point. So that really humbles me and gives me more compassion also for my complaints.
Yes, thank you, Juan. And I'm sure that that person would have been suddenly taken aback when the father, instead of apologizing, or yeah, that's beautiful. But mothers can do it too, Juan. It's not just a father who can let you go out with the car. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I'm just talking about
Yeah, I was just
stereotypes.
pulling your leg. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So I think then we'll take up either the complaint aspect or the subconscious, depending on whatever we want to do next week. So there's this one thing that I want to take up before we end. So there is this, when I was thinking about complaints, this thing that I had read quite a few years back, it came to me and I really like it. So this is by a Sufi saint, Hafiz. I'm sure a lot of us would be aware of his name. And the title is So Many Gifts. So if anybody would like to just read it out for us, just this much should be enough.
Yeah. There are so many gifts still unopened from your birthday. There are so many handcrafted presents that have been sent to you by God. The beloved does not mind repeating, everything I have is also yours. Please forgive Hafiz and the friend if we break into a sweet laughter. When your heart complains of being thirsty, when ages ago every cell in your soul capsized forever into this infinite golden sea.
Yeah, I think we can just stop here for now. So just the last aspect where, yeah, so. And the birthday means the day you were born here, I feel, not just my last birthday. So there's so much, so much, so much that I have and that has been given to me. And yet, like, how Jagan was saying, like, I just shrug off what I have. I take it as an entitlement, a healthy body, a healthy mind, the relationships that I have that I'm standing on. So here he's saying that there are so many gifts still unopened from your birthday. There are so many handcrafted presents that have been sent to you by God. And the God, the beloved, does not mind repeating, everything I have is also yours. And that's the reason why, Hafiz laughs when he hears us complaining about being thirsty or anything that I'm complaining about. When ages ago, every cell in my soul capsized forever into this infinite golden sea. So each cell of my body is submerged in this golden sea. And here I am mechanically, consciously, subconsciously, unconsciously complaining about anything and everything that I complained about. So just requesting that if we can all be more aware, maybe especially this week now, about the complaints that I might not even be aware of. We see the loud things, but the subtle, 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 subtle things that we keep repeating or seeing or being irritated about or just holding on to, if we can just look at them for ourselves, that would be amazing. And then we can discuss it next week if we want to. Any last comment before we end? Okay, so we will end this session here. So thanking Grace, thanking the Divine for the ability, the interest, the grace to have such sessions, this company, to have, the power to listen, to read, to comprehend, a will to want to know more, to be light, to be simple, the desire to be this one drop of poison less in the world. That's a huge, huge blessing. So thanking God for that and praying for wellness and peace and growth and progress for everyone. Thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you.
Thank you,